Have you ever noticed that there are like different hierarchies in our society? Now I'm not talking about the usual like managers, then directors, etc. like in a company. I mean the ones that are almost subconscious, and I think everybody follows it without actually knowing it. It's like an unwritten rule that everybody follows, and it's one of these things that I'm going to be talking about in today's video. Now, the one I'm going to call about, I call the pity rankings, if you want. And I think it comes from people's pity towards each other. You need to think about who would you let go in front of you in a queue? Who would you let take your seat on a bus? Now, it doesn't apply to everyone, because some people are nicer than others. Here is like basically what I think. At the top of the list, I put disabled people, because basically everyone has to be kind to disabled people, really. I split them into mentally disabled and physically disabled, because someone with a physical disability like me has to move away or whatever for a mentally disabled person. Then I put people with babies. Then I put pregnant women. Now I wasn't too sure about these two. Then I put old people. Now this is not the old people who can't walk or whatever. That will classify as physically disabled. Then I put children who are higher than adults and teenagers, but an old person could make the child give up their seat or something. Though generally old people are nice, I think. Now this doesn't mean that everyone underneath mentally disabled would give up the seat, because people act differently. But this is generally how I think it is. First example is on the street generally. People will move away from me, and where I'm walking there will normally be like a triangle where people split off to walk around me. Now, I was in London with a bunch of teenagers who were at the bottom list, and therefore I'm probably used to everybody else expecting them to move away. But because they were with me, everybody was moving away from us and giving us space, which they found really surprising. Second example, I was at a potluck, which is where everybody brings food and shares and stuff. And there was a queue. Now, I went to stand with my friends, who again were teenagers, and I had been asked by, I think it must have been adults with children, if I wanted to go in front of the queue at least 3 times. Anyways, that's not the point. Then a group of 2 or 3 old people cut in the queue in front of our group of teenagers without asking them anything. And they know that they could do this without anybody saying anything, because A, it was in church, because if they weren't, they would have been shanked up in it. B, they are higher on the list than the teenager. Then they turned around and asked me if I wanted to go in front of them. I said no, because I wanted to stay with my friends, but this sort of proves my point, right? Another example is when I'm walking on the sidewalk or curb, and there's only space for one person really. So the other person has to go out on the road to let them through. Everyone below me on this list moves out onto the road when I go past. Teenagers, obviously, adults, obviously, children with adults have to move out onto the road, which wasn't that busy by the way, to let me go through on the curb. People with pushchairs with babies would do this. Now it's not like I'm asking them like, move out of the way because I'm in a wheelchair. I just go and boom, they move out of the way. It's just how it works because of this hierarchy, which we can't help. Now I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. It's just something that I noticed in society, and it's just something to think about. And if you have not been able to listen to everything I've been saying in this video, basically, if you are below me in the rankings, you have to let me jump in front of you in the queue or else. Jokes.